And welcome. Glad you guys could be here under very weird circumstances. I want to welcome you all, and before we get started, I want to thank some people, Dr. O'Malley and Mr. Greg Hall, who have made athletics in Florence a big point of emphasis. Mr. Jerry Lee, of course, is here. Thank you for being here. I want to thank BSN for sponsoring the trophies today, and of course, my peers, Bob Wilson and Derek McQueen. The importance of athletics, what we compare it to a lot when we talk about it at West Florence, is we say that athletics has the burden and the blessing of being the front porch of the school. Not many people know that West Florence, for example, has a drone flying class, or the math rates are jumping up tremendously. But they do know that the football team went 6-5, and the basketball team had so many all-stars and that kind of thing. And so we're here to celebrate you guys today because you are the decoration on the front porch. Everybody sees you guys. We thank you for that. Coach Wilson, you're up.
Thank you, Greg. I just want to make a few introductions of some of the people that are in attendance here today. First, from West Florence, Principal Matt Dowdell. I don't see Jason or Warren yet. From Wilson High School, Principal Dr. Eric Robinson. Coaches Benny Morgan, who coaches track and cross country. And our honorary coach for the Wilson nominee today, Derek McQueen, who has a vested interest in the Female Athlete of the Year nominee for Wilson High School. From South Florence High School, Kim Mack, principal. Coach Bobby Jones, who coached our female nominee, softball coach, and Coach David Prince, who coached our male nominee. Also seated behind Mr. Dowdell, our superintendent, Dr. Richard O'Malley. On the stage with me, Greg Johnson, AD at West Florence, Derek McQueen, Athletic Director at Wilson, Mr. Greg Hall, Assistant Superintendent, grades 6 through 12 here for Florence One Schools, and Mr. Jerry Lee. You cannot speak of this program or this award without talking about Jerry Lee. This award's now in its 20th year, and it is a result of the vision and tireless efforts of Jerry Lee. Believing that Florence One Schools yearly had outstanding athletes who were also school leaders, Jerry was the driving force in creating this award. Modeled after the Ira Rainwater Award, which was given at McClinigan High School from 1947 to 1975, the Florence One Schools District Athlete of the Year strives to recognize the best all-around male and female athlete from the three Florence One high schools, South Florence High School, West Florence High School, and Wilson High School. Many of our former award winners have gone on to careers in professional athletics, and others have distinguished themselves as community leaders, including our very first Florence One Male District Athlete of the Year, Davey Gregg, who currently serves on the Florence One Schools Board of Trustees. Beyond being the driving force behind the Florence One Schools District Athlete of the Year, Jerry Lee was also a pivotal figure in the creation of the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame, which recognizes individuals that have made significant contributions to athletics in Florence. In both of these contributions, we see the love and pride that Jerry has in his community. I like to view both of these in these terms. The Florence Athletic Hall of Fame attempts to pay back individuals for what they have contributed to Florence, while the Florence One District Athlete of the Year attempts to pay forward, realizing these young people's achievements and contributions to society and community have really just begun. For the creation of this award, we offer our sincere gratitude for the time, energy, and effort that Jerry Lee has given the past 20 years, allowing these deserving athletes the recognition they deserve. Thank you, Jerry Lee. We're going to go ahead and segue into the program where each of the athletic directors will give a brief overview of their athletic career before introducing their school's nominee for the District Athlete of the Year. The year at South Florence, 2019-2020, obviously, like everyone else, it is a year that will never be forgotten. None of us saw this coming. Our fall sports for football, We qualified for the now 5A playoffs for the 7th time in 8 years and had an All-State and a North-South All-Star player in Cameron Harper, who is our nominee. Our boys swim team had a qualifier for the state meet in 2 events, and interestingly enough, the young man Dennis Hornet was an exchange student from Moldova. So he has gotten to take a bit of Florence back with him as he actually departs today. Our cross-country team continued to co-host with West Florence one of the premier invitationals in the state, the PD Classic, which is now in its 21st year, as well as working with the other 2 schools, West Florence and Wilson, on the Back to School 5K, which serves as a fundraiser for all 3 Florence One cross-country programs. And we saw significant improvement in both our volleyballs and our girls' tennis programs, not only in number of wins, but in number of athletes and participation. In our winter sports, girls basketball qualified for the playoffs and had the Region 6 5A Player of the Year, Albany Wilson, who was also named All-State. Our boys basketball team had a first-year coach, Christian Savage, but we did have 1 player named to the 5A All-Star, North-South All-Star game, Brian Sparks, as well as being named All-State. And we had 4 basketball players signed with various colleges. Which brings us to spring. Obviously, the spring sports schedule was cut tremendously short, but there were some recognitions that South Florence Athletics received. At the South Carolina High School League Principals and Athletic Directors Spring Conference, South Florence was one of only 11 of the 213 South Carolina High School League members to receive the Award of Excellence, awarded yearly for, quote, exemplary display of sportsmanship, ethics, and integrity. This was the 2nd consecutive year South Florence won this prestigious award and the 3rd time in 5 years. In an effort to salvage something positive from the almost non-existent spring sports season, on Friday, May 1st, we held Friday Night Lights, where senior athletes paraded through the campus in decorated cars to the cheering and horns of blaring family, friends, and fans in their own decorated vehicles. The hundreds, it turns out, for the event were certainly not a substitute for a canceled season, but it was great seeing the enthusiasm and smiles on the faces of the senior spring athletes. This year at South Florence Athletic Department also took full advantage of the new state-of-the-art on-campus TV studio at South Florence as we collaborated with the video production class for our awards programs. The fall and winter awards programs were a multimedia presentation combining a live presentation with music, interviews, and game actions displayed on the giant video screens in the auditorium. The students in the video production class did all of the filming, editing, sound, and effects for the programs. Our Spring Athletic Awards program obviously had to be different, and the class did an incredible job with a completely virtual ceremony that again included music, interviews, and game action of athletes. I certainly hope South Florence Athletics can continue to make use of this incredible resource. Our 2 coaches in attendance here today also received recognition. In the shortened softball season, Coach Bobby Jones earned his 500th career win, and in this spring, Coach David Prince was inducted into the South Carolina Strength Coaches Hall of Fame. And I think both of those accomplishments say a great deal about those coaches and their contributions to South Florence. 2020 is a year of change at South Florence, and Coach Prince will be leaving us to pursue a coaching opportunity at Batesburg-Leesville High School. We thank Coach Prince for his efforts and success at South Florence High School and wish he and his wife, Chrissy, a teacher at Greenwood Elementary School, the best of luck. This year also marks the end of Kim Mack as principal of South Florence High School. I've known Miss Mack for the past 9 years, and I've been at South, but did not really get to know her well until she became principal and we began to work closely together. I found Kim to be a great supporter of athletics. How many principals would, at the football players' request, don a game jersey, lead them from the locker room, break through the banner onto the field in her first home game? But more than an advocate for athletics, Kim is an advocate for students and developed close, trusting relationships with our athletes. This year also marks the end of my time with Florence One Schools, as well as being athletic director at South Florence. I've been honored to be a varsity head coach at all three Florence One high schools, developing friendships and relationships with coaches, athletes, and coworkers that will last a lifetime. Looking back, I can say the single most satisfying aspect of my career in coaching is that I was given the opportunity to witness, time and time again, young people accomplishing incredible things. Some were obvious, like state championships or athletes signing to play in college, but many were much more subtle. When you've seen the look on a player's face the first time you hand them a varsity uniform, or the first time they dunk a basketball, or when they defeat an opponent that no one gave them a chance to defeat, you never forget it. And I've been blessed with witnessing those moments too numerable to count. At this time, I would like our male nominee, Cameron Harper, to join me on stage. So Cameron, if you come up right over here. And I will say this about both of our nominees. They are not people who typically like the spotlight very bright on them. And it's really rewarding to have young people that may shy away for it be recognized for the work that they have done. Our male nominee, Cameron Harper, is a 3-year varsity starter in football, helping the Bruins to the 5A playoff appearances in 2018 and 19. Individual accolades for the 2019 football season include the selection to the TV-15 All-Zone team, the TV-13 All-Blitz team, Region 6 5A All-Region team, the South Florence High School Defensive Player of the Year, the High School Sports Report 5A All-State team, the South Carolina Coaches Association 5A All-State team, as well as a participant in the Touchstone Energy North-South All-Star Game. Academically, Cameron has a 3.73 GPA, is a member of the Beta Club and National Honor Society. Cameron has participated in the South Carolina High School League Living Clean Week in 2018 and the South Florence Reading Program at Greenwood Elementary in 2019. Cameron is also active in his church, New Zion Baptist, and participates in their youth community service program. And Cameron has signed to continue his education and football career at Wingate University. Cameron Harper. I'll now ask our female nominee, Alexis Kirby, to join me on stage. Alexis Kirby is the South Florence female nominee for the Florence One Schools District Athlete of the Year. A vital part of the South Florence softball program, Lexi has been a 6-year starter for the Lady Bruins. During those years, the Lady Bruins were Region 6 champions 4 times, 2015, 16, 18, and 19. The Lady Bruins also reached the Final Four of the lower state in 2016, 18, and 19. Individual awards include being a 4-time All-Region player, Best Defense Award winner in 2017, Team Coaches Award winner in 2018, and Team MVP in 2019. Academically, she has a 3.97 GPA and is a member of the Beta Club and National Technical Honor Society. Lexi has been involved with the South Carolina High School Living Clean Week in 2018 and 19, the Miracle League of Florence 2016, 17, 18, and 19, and the South Florence Reading Program at McLaurin Elementary and Dewey Carter Elementary. And as a member of the Sardis Baptist Church, she's active in youth community service projects. Lexi is signed to continue her education and her softball career at Florence Darlington Tech. Thank you.
I want to file a complaint for the 3rd year in a row. I keep asking not to follow Coach Bob Wilson in his speeches. That's fallen on deaf ears. Coach Wilson, outstanding as usual. I'll now make a fool of myself for about 10 minutes. I want to start off 2019 and 2020 was an entertaining year, as entertaining as ever. And while it was cut short due to a global pandemic, it was not without excitement, drama, heartbreak, defeat, and glory. I want to start by addressing two of our program's 4 goals. First and foremost, the academic goals that we set for ourselves. We averaged all the GPAs of our 457 student athletes, and for the second year in a row, I'm proud to say it was better than a 4.0. Usually in my award speech in the school, that's the part where everybody would clap for a few minutes. So I tell you guys to calm down. That's okay. You guys don't need to. This is a tremendous accomplishment for our student athletes, but it's even more of an accomplishment for our teachers and administration. Mr. Dowdell, who's here with us today, Dr. Green, Mr. Sinkler, Mr. Coleman, Ms. Young, and Ms. Davis stand behind our student athletes every day, and they push them every step of the way. Some academic highlights include Hale Emerson, who's the twin brother of Wyatt Emerson. He won the academic award for 3 different sports. Connor Bailey won the award for 2 different sports, and Shaquille White and Amara Burgess won the award for the second year in a row in both of their sports. As many of you know, we offer an award shield for our student athletes' uniforms if they earned a 3.0 GPA or better for the previous school year. Of our 457, 402 earned a 3.0 GPA or better. That's strong. As far as our community service goal, the Knights had another banner year. Even though the Special Olympics were canceled this year because of the coronavirus, our athletes still managed to log in 1,500 hours of community service. We continued our Friday Readers program, adding more student athlete volunteers every week and adding 2 schools to this year's visits. Our community service was highlighted by our male community service athlete of the year, Nicholas Edick, who stood out with the younger kids and who donated multiple hours to the Miracle League of Florence. Our female community service athlete of the year was actually awarded to the entire girls basketball team. Coach Kevin Robinson stood out in all of his activities, which you guys don't have time to listen to, but are highlighted by serving the homeless meals multiple occasions, ringing the bells for the Salvation Army, and making extra trips to our elementary school students. We also won a few games this year. Pearson Mixon and Connor Bailey both competed in the state championship for cross country, Pearson doing so with a broken foot. Both athletes were named All-Region as well. Our girls swim team had 5 individual swimmers compete in the state championship, and all of which were underclassmen. Our girls golf team showed improvement and was fortunate to host the lower state championship, which was a wild experience. Our girls tennis team again made the playoffs and again advanced past the first round. They also led the athletic department in GPA, earning an outstanding 4.7 team GPA. Volleyball improved as well, with Emmy Rollins earning all-region and all-state honors, and Coach Warren Coker earning his 300th career win, making him second amongst acting coaches in the state. The football team made the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row, and the fall was easily highlighted with the school's first ever varsity home game. We are thrilled that it will not be the last. The winter was eventful too. As is usual with basketball, there are ups and downs. Both teams opened the season in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the home of the Hornets. It was a very memorable experience for our student athletes and our coaches as they got to play on the same court as some of their heroes. The girls team doubled their win total from last year, winning 12 and finishing second in the region. The boys also finished second after being picked to finish 4th in the preseason. The girls will return all 5 starters next year, and the boys' future is bright as well. They will return 7 players and bring up many student athletes from a JV team that's won more than 40 games in the last 2 years. 6 student athletes from our basketball teams were named to the All-Region team. Spring sports were shortened significantly, but had a few highlights. The boys' golf team got a chance to compete in the best tournament in the state, the Patriot Invitational at Fort Dorchester. The team jumped up 9 positions after missing a few veterans, including Wyatt, his brother. During the first day of the tournament, they jumped up 9 positions, and I lost my place. I'm close. Here we go. The track team only had a chance to compete in 1 meet this year, but both the boys and girls won overall over numerous teams in the PD, so we are going to count this season as an undefeated one. Our girls soccer team won the Bruin Cup preseason tournament, outscoring their opponents by a wide margin, and the baseball team played in just 2 games, but only gave up 2 hits. The softball team won the Latta preseason tournament, and they can also claim that for the first time in a long time did not lose a game to Coach Jones in South Florence. So mission accomplished there. In closing, we had 23 athletes earn all-region honors, and 8 athletes have committed to pursue their athletic and academic careers next fall. That's enough about us. We will continue to develop our culture and continue to pursue perfection. Now let's talk about the 2 that will represent our program today and for the foreseeable future. Lauren, come on up. You'll hear us mention grades early and often in all these speeches, and Lauren is no exception. She has earned a 4.9 GPA in her high school career. She's been a member of the National Honor Society and the Beta Club. Lauren has been busy, and I'm reading this because I don't want to get emotional on this because Lauren knows how close we are. Lauren's been busy since she walked in the doors at West Florence High School 2 years ago. In addition to being an officer in JROTC, Lauren has taken part in our Friday Readers program. She's volunteered for the Special Olympics. She's assisted in the annual FTA tennis tournament. She volunteers at the Tucker Bingo Center, in addition to her Assistant Athletic Director of Basketball Operations title for the basketball team. Lauren swept the floor. She tutored a few players. She washed the uniforms. She kept the book. She literally sold hot dogs at halftime. There's a lot to be said for someone with work ethic, Lauren. And I'm going to go off script before I talk about your athletic stuff because there's a little surprise for you here today. Lauren is never someone that we've seen without a smile on her face. She's got this huge grin, and she knows every teacher by name, and she knows every student by name, and she's the most popular kid in the school. But the first day I met her, and only the first day I met her, she pulled up to West Florence High School, and Coach Jarvis can confirm this. She was not thrilled about being there. She had left Keenan High School, where she was a state champion track runner, and West Florence was not the most attractive place in the world. She was drugged here every day by her old dad from Columbia and a long drive every day. And because of that, because of her persistence and her work ethic and her willingness to help, she is this year's award recipient of the Jerry Lee Gotta Have Heart Award. This is the part where you guys clap. And while she's a great kid, she's a great student, and she's a hard worker, she's also a heck of an athlete. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. She's also a heck of an athlete. During the 2019 volleyball season, Lauren had 7 aces, 75 kills, 59 services received, 25 blocks, and 48 digs. She won the Coaches Award for the volleyball team this year. Lauren was also a member of our track and field program, and in 2019, she was one of our captains of the 2019 Region 6 5A championship team, the first in more than 10 years. She was named to the all-region team for the 4x100 meter relay and the 400 meter hurdles. She also broke the school record for the 400 meter hurdles, running a 1:03. Is that right? That's fast. In 2018, Lauren won the 400 meter hurdles at Keenan High School. Most impressively, Lauren has competed in the track and field state championship each year since the 8th grade, participating in 4 different events. She'll be running track in Conway next year for my Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina University. Finally, a quote from one of her coaches: Lauren was the first person to every day and wanted to set up. When she wasn't on the court, she was a great encourager. She saw the good in everything and supported her teammates every day. Miss Lauren Gordon is your 2020 West Florence High School Female Athlete of the Year. Wyatt, come on up. Wyatt's having a great hair day as usual. Wyatt again is one of our academic all-stars. He's a 5.14 GPA. He's a member of our National Honor Society, our Beta Club, and he also attended Palmetto Boys State last year. As far as extracurricular activities, Wyatt was busy there too. He took part in our Friday Readers program. He volunteered, and let me say about the Friday Readers program too, he volunteered to go to Highland Park, which is only 3- and 4-year-olds, so he's a saint for that as a parent of those. He also helped with Special Olympics and was a part of the youth program at First Presbyterian, all while playing 3 sports and holding down a job at the Florence Country Club. A pretty busy young man. Athletically, before I read, I want to tell you a story. This is true, and I talked to Mr. Chancey about this, I believe. Last year, we had some football recruits that were being recruited, and they scored a bunch of touchdowns. And in every video clip that we sent, and we ended up counting, it was more than 50 touchdowns we scored. In all 50 of those, Wyatt was the first one down the field to congratulate his teammates. And I can't think of a better compliment than that, in that Wyatt cares more about team success than he cares about his own success, and I think that's really cool. For the football team this past season, Wyatt caught 10 passes for just under 200 yards and a touchdown. He served as a team captain and was a 2-year starter. At the conclusion of the 2019 tennis season, Hale collected all region and all state honors. He competed in the state singles tournament and finished 19-2. He played number 2 for the tennis team for the final 2 seasons. His tennis teams did not lose a region championship during his high school career. Wyatt is also regarded as one of the most coachable athletes in the building and a fantastic teammate. Last year for the football team, he started at 3 different positions on offense and defense and did whatever it took to win. One of the coaches that nominated Wyatt said that he had the ability to improve everyone around him. Wyatt Emerson is your male athlete of the year for West Florence High School. Thank you, guys.
Tough acts to follow. Mr. Young, you can see that Bob and Greg doesn't follow directions very well. We said short and sweet, and those guys were bringing it all. So let me just start by, Greg talked a little bit about Lauren a little while ago, and I want to add to that list of things that Lauren has done. I want to add she's also a fashion designer. My first meeting of meeting with Lauren was Wilson and West Florence had played a game at the Civic Center, and Coach McQueen then was coaching, and try to be very, very up on the fashion portions of it. And I came in and I had some purple and gold tiger pants. The tigers were gold, purple pants, and I think I had on a purple shirt. And for whatever reason, the purples didn't match very well. And so Jarvis and Lauren was walking to the car. They was walking in the parking lot, and I was backing out. So I stopped Coach and I said, congratulations. And so he introduced me to Lauren, and Lauren said, Coach, I just want to let you know that looked really nice what you had on, but those purples didn't match. So Lauren, I want to thank you for that. And so Coach McQueen has done better with that. And so unfortunately, you may not get an opportunity to see that. I just want to let you know that Coach McQueen working on that, baby girl. Okay? All right. All right, so what I would like to do is I also, too, would like to thank Dr. O'Malley and his staff for obviously making it possible. I would like to welcome and also thank Dr. Hall and his short tenure. He's kind of jumped in and kind of helped taking the reins, so thank you. Dr. Robinson, Mr. Jerry Lee, thank you for all that you have done over the years and continue to do. Scott, just a tremendous coverage that you've given, not just Wilson High School, but Florence School District 1. The coverage that you have given our district and our student athletes, and so we greatly appreciate you for highlighting our kids as well. As well as we would also like to thank the Rainwater family as well. I too would like to also thank Bob and Greg, being the newest of the group, the athletic directors. I called on those guys a lot, and sometimes you could hear in the background where Greg was actually having dinner and his kids was, they were talking, and not one time did I, pick up the phone and call he or Bob, and those guys didn't answer questions or tried to help me along the way. So I, again, to both of you guys, thank you. Bob, we want to wish you well in your retirement. Do not change your cell phone number. But we also would like to wish you well and thank you. Wilson High School Athletic Department. Man, it was things happened so quickly. Hired in August, and probably right after getting hired in August, we went into an AD meeting where the superintendent said that we were going to have on-campus games, and where Wilson typically goes last, in this situation, Wilson went first. So within a month's time, trying to get some things done, but nevertheless, obviously one of the highlights at Wilson to have an on-campus football game. The naming of our tennis courts behind or after Fred Davis and Ronald James, two of the great gentlemen in our community and the things that they've done for our tennis program. Football this past season, 7 straight wins, which was a record for Wilson High School in the past. They've reached the playoff the last 3 years, which has been huge. Jacoby Quillen, North-South All-Star Game. Deshaun Timmons also competed in the All-American Bowl in Atlanta. We had 6 football players to actually sign to play at the next level. Cross country, we hired a new cross country coach, Benny Morgan, who is with us today, and his first season cross country, he actually takes our girls cross country team to the state championship. And so we finished 15th in the state with our girls cross country team. He also worked with a 7th grader by the name of Caleb Burrows, who is number one 7th grader cross country in the state of South Carolina. Swim team continued to make improvements, as well as our girls volleyball team. Finished 4th in the region this past season. Our girls tennis team, 3rd round playoffs this past season. Our valedictorian of our 2020 class is Rebecca Liu, who was also one of our better tennis players and was actually named to our All-Star Senior tennis match as well. Girls basketball finished 3rd round, back-to-back region championships this past season. Over the course of the last 4 years, 2 state championship appearances, lower state championships. So our basketball programs have done well. Boys basketball, a little challenging this season. Hope to be doing better next season. Softball, baseball are basically our spring sports. Very excited about our track and fields team. Obviously, our boys track and fields, Yavin Smith, obviously led the way typically with our 100, which ranked number 1. We also finished 1-2 in the state in the 100 with Austin as well. Our 4x100 meter, we were actually very, very excited about that, finishing in the top 1 or 2. And then our 4x4 as well. So we were very excited to hopefully get an opportunity to see those group of kids perform as well. Nevertheless, we won't get that opportunity. And but still, all in all, again, Coach Morgan led our track and fields teams as well. A little bit more about our department. GPA this past season was a 3.9 for our athletes at Wilson High School. We had over 65 scholar athletes recognized by the high school league. Community service. What we ask is that we ask our student athletes to do at least 10 hours of community service. We this year came in at 1,450 hours without actually having our spring sports student athletes participate. Most of that was basically done with our fall and winter sport athletes. A couple of things, I think one of the things that I was most proud of, or probably just as proud of this past year, is that when COVID-19 hit, a lot of the kids were calling and saying, hey, we want to help, we want to do certain things. And so we had a number of our kids actually do virtual reading. So what we did was we contacted some of our local elementary schools, and some of our student athletes, what they did was they recorded themselves reading for elementary students. And so we had about 20 to 30 of our students actually do some virtual reading during COVID-19. So not just laying around or doing anything, they wanted to help. And so we partnered with several of our elementary schools. North Vista, the elementary school, Wallace Gregg, we work with North Vista, Wallace Gregg, Henry Timrod, as well as Savannah Grove during the pandemic. Enough about Wilson High School, and just a little bit more while we're here. Yavin, if you could come up and join me on the podium as well. Other side, Yavin. While Yavin is coming, Yavin Smith for us was a standout on the Tiger football team. Was also Class 4A ranked runner in the 100 meter. When this season was shortened. He was also all-region in both sports, was named most outstanding track athlete in the 2018-2019 season. He's also named the football top receiver for the previous 2 years. Career stats, 950 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, 781 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. And then he also had one where he had a return or kickoff where he actually ran it back. Yavin also represented us this past year as our 2019 homecoming king. King, not queen, king. With a 4.3 weighted GPA, Smith is class treasurer and has also volunteered with Fields Day at North Vista, the book drive, reading for local elementary school kids, and would also help out with things up and around his church with the Women's Day program as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Wilson High School Male Athlete of the Year, Yavin Smith. Loyal, if you. McQueen is our Gatorade Girls Basketball Player of the Year for the state of South Carolina, 19 and 2020. As well as she's South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association 4A Player of the Year. Not only was she also honored as a Player of the Year in several others, Max Prep 4A Player of the Year, the Blitz Female Athlete of the Year, Region 6 4A Player of the Year, High School Sports Report Player of the Year. McQueen was also a three-time All-State player, first team 2008, 19, and 20, and was the Tigers MVP 2019, 2020. McQueen is ranked number 1 in girls high school and player in the state of South Carolina. She was also chosen to play in the Carolina Classic All-Star Game, which is South Carolina versus North Carolina. Loyal has a 4.0 while taking dual credit classes at Florence Darlington Tech. She currently has 28 credits towards her college. Towards college. In addition to being a 2-time honoree as the Morning News Girls Player of the Year 2019 and 2020, McQueen totaled 2,252 points during 110 games played. Career high was 51 points in a game with 11 threes, which was a tournament record at the Beach Ball Classic. She received over 45 Division I offers and signed to continue her career at Georgia Tech. She's a member of the National Honor Society and a 4-year member of the Beta Club, and she was the 2019 Homecoming Queen, not King, Queen. Her volunteering efforts include Cardboard City, being a camp counselor, working with Mount Zion Soup Kitchen and helping out with Read Across America, McLeod Hospice, the Polar Bear Express, and also reading to students remotely during COVID-19. Loyal also recently just donated $1,000 to the PD Area Boys and Girls Club. Pay it forward through Gatorade. Our Wilson High School Female Athlete of the Year, Loyal McQueen. In closing, thank you to Yavin and Loyal for your commitment to our parents, to all of our parents. Thank you for your commitment, your dedication. And then I would also like to just say congratulations to all of our candidates and good luck.
It is a pleasure to welcome two gentlemen to the podium at this time to recognize our District Athletes of the Year, Scott Chansey from Morning News and Mr. Jerry Lee.
On One thing I'm going to say, I misunderstood Coach Wilson. I wouldn't have been here. I understood him to say that District 1 was feeding every senior citizen over 85 today at 12. I had no idea, but I sure appreciate the invitation, Bob. And I would congratulate the 6, and I know they cannot even fathom 1952, but I stood in May of 1952 where y'all stand today. And this is something that, believe it or not, the first male and female Athlete of the Year awards was in this building in another room. It was a drop-in, and I had requested and went through the school board with all the details and was promised after that year, as long as I did all the work, there would be a banquet. Scott and I will get together today after lunch. We're eating outside at Rogers, and I have composed a history of how this got started, and we'll decide whether it be a letter to the editor or interview of whatever Scott wants to do. But you would be hopefully all involved, and Florence would be interested in reading that to see all the things that have transpired. And on the back of the program, there's a lot of history there. There's all from 1947 through last year, and I appreciate so much since I've retired that this will go on, and I believe it's going on, for 6 deserving all winners every year.
Well, Jerry, it's certainly an honor to be up here with you for another reason. You were my connection to Florence before I moved here. I was a sports editor in the Upstate covering the American Legion State Baseball Tournament, and this gentleman came up to me out of the blue and told me about this team. They got a chance at winning state for the first time since, I think, the 1960s, and his name was Jerry. And I got to know Jerry Lee really well that day. We went to the Ditsy Cafe, I think later that day, at a Ditsy Cheese, and he told me a little bit about the history of Florence Post 1 baseball, and I got to meet Derek Urquhart that day. And it's funny that that moment happened then, and here I am now covering Florence. And Jerry, you've meant so much to Florence. It's fantastic to be up here with you again for another year. But now we've mentioned that, let's have another round of applause for all the athletes who are being honored. You know, what a tremendous year, and you guys have really set the tone. You guys set the standard this school year, and for those same reasons, that's what makes it so hard to announce the winner of this award for the Boys and Girls Florence 1 Schools Athletes of the Year. So let's start with the female athlete. You know, before I even talk about her athletic success, let's talk about what she did in the classroom, racking up so many college credits, what she does helping others, whether it's from the young up until all through the ages. She just does what she can, whether it's helping out with church, helping out with school projects, and that stands alone even on that. But her athletic abilities, her athletic accomplishments, I think her athletic director touched on that, and we would just like to add one more award, Florence 1 Female Athlete of the Year, to Wilson High School's Loyal McQueen. He said I could take it out of the box, so okay. This is the trophy, and this is yours. Congratulations. Okay, now moving on to the male athlete of the year. You know, his athletic director also talked about what made him a special athlete on and off the field. A go-to player in 2 sports. Totally made the grades in the classroom, definitely made a commitment to others volunteering. And with that note, we'd like to present the Male Athlete of the Year for Florence 1 Schools to Wilson High School's Yevon Smith. Thank you.
The other coaches, I believe I heard each of them reference how hard it was to follow the one before, and I feel completely inadequate to speak following the talent that has been on this stage, the coaching history, the legacy of Jerry Lee representing this award, and of course all of these outstanding athletes. I'm in awe of all of you and very appreciative to claim you in Florence 1. And it is definitely an honor to be among fantastic athletes, fantastic scholars, and great young people. That is what I've heard explained of each of you today, and I'm so proud to be in your presence today. Athletics is such an important part of our lives. What it has done to enrich your lives, not only those 6 here, but anyone that is involved in the athletic program, it enriches their lives, not just for the sport itself, but all of the other characteristics and disciplines that are gained from it. And the manifestation of that is the leaders and scholars and athletes we see in front of us today. We're very proud of your accomplishments, individually, for your schools, for the community, and definitely for Florence 1. Each of you are a testament to your family's legacy, to your school's legacy, to your community's legacy, and definitely the legacy of Florence 1. I want to thank the coaches for your investment into these young people's lives. I want to thank the staff and the administration for your leadership and investment into these young people's lives. I want to thank the families for your investment and your support and everything that you do to help nurture and grow the future leaders of this country and this community. And I definitely want to thank Mr. Jerry Lee and the Rainwater family and the legacy of this award and what it represents. And again, I think Coach McQueen referenced my short tenure here. I officially began at the end of March. And in very short time, I learned a lot about the importance of the history of this award and what it represents. And it is definitely something we are interested in sustaining, as it is extremely important part of Florence 1 schools. I am proud to claim each and every one of you as a product of Florence 1, and I believe I can speak for all of the coaches and staff and community that are here. It's an honor to be in the presence of the legacy, not only of the past, but also now of the future that you are writing for Florence 1 in your schools. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations.